on today. Now today, it's going to be a little different than our last video. Okay, this one is going to be a little bit more political, okay? Like I said, we talk about it all here. And particularly, we're going to come down on the state I live in, which is the state of Oklahoma. And we're going to talk about state question number 816, referendum number 27. As I was reading this here, it was a certain part of such law that stuck out to me above all the other horrid stuff. This one tops them all. Section 2, new law. A new section of law to be codified in Oklahoma statutes is section 1320.11 of the Title 21, unless there is created a duplicate in numbering, reads as follows. A motor vehicle operator who unintentionally causes injury or death to an individual shall not be criminally or civilly liable for the injury or death. This is referring to riots, okay? It goes on further to say, the injury or death of the individual occurred while the motor vehicle operator was fleeing from a riot, as defined in Section 1311 of Title 21 of the Oklahoma statutes, under an unreasonable belief that fleeing was necessary to protect the motor vehicle operator from serious injury or death, and the motor vehicle operator exercised due care at the time of the death or injury. Now, the rest of it is just plain out trash, but that part sticked out to me the most. They are trying to make it legal for people to run people over during protests. Now, as we know, most people that protest in the streets and such, this is all, let me just lay it out on the table for y'all, okay? This bill was in response to the Black Lives Matter protests we had last summer. Yeah. So, it's pretty obvious why they're doing it. When you live in a Republican majority state, such as I, bills like these, legislature like this, are all too common because you have a Republican majority in a state where the hillbilly runs free and he reigns, okay? They may be gussied up in a suit or may even be a senator. The governor, you never know who these hillbillies are that really feel like this about us. Okay? So it's pretty scary that they're actually considering making this legal. I was part of the act of doing a petition against it, but I'm still in amazement that something like that passed Senate floor. Or was even wrote. Forget past Senate or representative floor or anything like that. The fact that it was wrote speaks to the heart and the mind of this nation. Because most likely somebody that wrote this probably thinks that the riot that happened at the Capitol was no biggie and that it needed to happen. I'm being quite frank with you. We live in the world where Trumpism is a thing. It's no longer Republicanism. Because there's some good Republicans. I'm not going to lie. There's some okay Republicans. There's some horrible Republicans. There's some okay Democrats and there's some horrible Democrats. There's some okay moderates and horrible moderates. But Trumpism as a whole is bad. And this bill is evidence of the Trumpism in this state. To be quite honest, I don't know. I honestly think State Question 816, referendum number 27. State Question 816 as a whole is trash. But that section I read to y'all is why they really wrote it. Because they want to kill us. Not even just us anymore. They want to kill anybody that feels differently than they do. And it's sad. Because we've come to a point in this nation where if you don't agree with me, it's not okay. Instead of agreeing to disagree and having mutual respect. And that is what we need back in this political system. I'm just going to be honest. We need to learn how to respect each other while also disagreeing. It's possible. Because I have friends who are hardcore Republican. Hardcore Republican. Some of them even Trump supporters. And we respect each other enough to agree to disagree. And we talk about politics. It's not like we avoid the subject. Our whole life's work and what we feel here to do is make a change in people's lives. The ideology in which we do it may be different, but we both know that we're called to be elected officials. It all comes down to ideology, morals, and beliefs. Not saying that either party is correct. Not saying that it's a bad thing to have a bipartisanship. Or it's a bad thing to be bipartisan and not care either, or be an independent. The whole purpose of me having this conversation with you is for you to realize that hate in this country is real. And it's festering. And it's festering in legislature. It's festering in all these different facets. And people always love to bring up, well, the law system wouldn't do anything unconstitutional. Slavery was legal. Slavery was legal for how long? 250 years. And to be quite honest, they did not want to release slaves when they did. The person y'all praise and think they freed slaves, I read that he wanted to send us to Liberia or Sierra Leone. They didn't even want us here. And we built this country on our backs. We built this country on our backs, and they don't want us here. Because if the African slave was not brought to this country, it would not be in the financial state that it is now. It would not be considered one of the wealthiest countries. It would not be considered one of the most powerful countries, because it would not have had the umpteen years of free labor working to death that they did. Oh, y'all ain't ready for that yet? Y'all ain't ready for that truth? Well, I'm just keeping it real. That's the only thing I know how to do. So yeah. Things like this are common now. I want to say there's some legislature similar to this in Florida, Texas, and it's coming everywhere. I want you to, even in democratically blue states. Let me just say blue states. Even in blue states, it's coming to blue states. I know it is. Because y'all have Trumpisms there too. Y'all got Trumpers. Because I'm pretty sure y'all have a red county. Somewhere. Even though you may have 99 blue ones, you got one red one. Just keeping it real. So be on the lookout for legislature like that. I mean, when you do, contact your representatives. Contact your senators and let them know how you feel about it. Because if we say nothing, then they'll never know how we feel. If we don't speak out, they'll never know how we feel. So I just want people to be cautious of this and be aware and stay woke, because they try to kill us. But remember, my people, what doesn't kill us makes us stronger. So stay on the lookout. Supporters, people who care. If you care, this is for you. If you can, stay on the lookout and speak out against it, okay? Because once they get rid of us, they coming for you. Because they gonna remember that you don't agree with them. You don't want what they want. So what, you white? So what? You're Jewish. Okay? They ain't gonna come after you. They probably already is. But just keep on the lookout because the devil is busy, to say the least. And this is evident that he's busy. And I want you to be aware of what's going on around you. Because, remember, my people, history will repeat itself if we don't learn from the mistakes that we've made. If we don't learn from those mistakes, they're destined to repeat and repeat. And when we don't reinforce those values of that not happening again to the next generation, which is why I honestly feel we're having the issues we're having now to such magnitude, it's going to keep repeating itself. So stay aware, keep your head on the swivel, and just know we are under attack.